of the Mary begotten, a health to the maiden with the fiery eyes, a health to the crone that smiles beside us, on the other side of a belting fire.
Merry meet everybody, this is Phoenix Aurora, and for today's video, I was going to go ahead and do a book review on Scott Cunningham's Wicca, A Guide for the Solitary Practitioner. And hopefully, let me move my fingers so anybody who wants to write this down can write it down and make sure that they pull up the right book when they're looking it up on Amazon or what have you. But this book I really enjoyed, especially as a beginner. He does a good job of writing plainly so that it's easy to understand. He explains himself when he uses a term. He doesn't assume that you know everything. Obviously, it's a guide for the solitary practitioner. It's supposed to be kind of an introduction. So he writes with the understanding that the person reading this probably doesn't know that much. And I really enjoyed that. I'll go ahead and read you the table of contents so you have an idea of some of the topics that he covers. The first half of the book goes into Wicca and shamanism, the deities, magic, tools, music, dance, and gesture, ritual and preparation for ritual, the magic circle and the altar, the days of power, the spiral of rebirth, concerning initiation, exercises and magical techniques, self-dedication, and ritual design. A lot of these are very basic kind of topics, in my view anyway. And I really enjoyed the music, dance, and gesture chapter because he talks about different instruments that you can incorporate into your ritual and their correspondences with the different elements, you know, earth, wind, fire, water. And he also discusses ritual and preparation for ritual. One thing that I found interesting about that chapter that I didn't find online was the idea of wearing different colors, different colored robes in your ritual depending on the purpose of the ritual. That's not to say that you have to use different color robes. You can just get a plain black robe or a plain white robe or a plain whatever robe you want, whatever resonates with you. I just found it interesting, the points that he makes, you know, regarding the color of the robe and the type of ritual that one might perform wearing that color. My favorite part of this book, however, is the last section, which is basically the last half of the book, and he titles it The Standing Stones Book of Shadows. And I found it very interesting because being solitary, I don't know any other witches, and a lot of the time when you think of witchcraft and stuff like that, stuff related to it rather, you 9 times out of 10 perceive this tradition being handed down from one person to the next. A lot of the time it's usually, you know, one family member to the next, but for those who know what a Book of Shadows is, which is basically, you know, your book of spell work and musings, you tend to get a Book of Shadows passed down to you. And that's not always the case for every witch, especially if you're solitary. So I found this very interesting because it was as if Scott Cunningham took a condensed version of his Book of Shadows and then just handed it to you. So I found it very, very helpful. He talks about, in the Standing Stones Book of Shadows, let's see what he's got here real quick before I start mouthing off. Oh, too late. I'm already mouthing off. Anyway, it talks about the nature of our way before time was. He lists a Song of the Goddess, Call of the God on there. I don't particularly resonate with a lot of the different chants that he includes because I personally prefer them to rhyme, but that's just me. They don't have to rhyme for it to resonate with you. It just doesn't necessarily resonate with me, but he does mention in the book that he has no problem with you tweaking anything in here to suit your personal needs, which again I love about him. He makes it very clear that he's not the end-all be-all, you know, authority of Wicca. This is just his view, his perspective, and his work, obviously. He includes a layout, basic layout for your altar if you have never seen one and are interested in obviously getting an altar put up. If you're interested in Wicca, you're probably interested in this. He includes information on casting the circle, cutting a doorway, releasing the circle, consecration of tools, full moon rites. He talks about the seasonal festivals and their lore, as far as Yule, Imbolc, Ostara, Beltane, Samhain, Midsummer, Lunasa, Mabon, and all those holidays. I know I didn't say them in order, but it'll be okay. And he also includes a table of correspondences. Not necessarily a table, but, you know, he includes some correspondences. He talks about some herbs, and then he includes their correspondences to different deities, different, you know, what herbs correspond with which deity. There are the goddess deities, and he does include some gods as well. And he also, which I found very interesting, he includes some recipes. That's very cool. Not just incense recipes. These are for cakes and ales and other things you might consider offering to your deity. So I found that very nice. It was very interesting. So I personally really enjoyed this book. It's not very thick. It's not a huge book. It isn't going to take you weeks on end, months on end, years on end to finish. I would say the time that I actually spent sitting down and reading it probably corresponded, if you totaled it up, to maybe 2 days. Maybe. Like I said, it's not very thick. This includes random pages like this, because he includes other works that you might be interested in that he references in the text. And I thought that was very cool, because a lot of us don't always know what a reliable resource is to turn to, because everything you read online you shouldn't believe, if you didn't already know that. But the official page number for the text is 239 pages, so it's really not that big of a book. And I would definitely recommend it, especially if you're starting out, because it does have a lot of basic information in here. So that's it for my review of Wicca, A Guide for the Solitary Practitioner by Scott Cunningham. If anybody has any questions or input for me, please feel free to leave me a comment, to do a video response, or to email me. You can find my email in the About section. And definitely like this video and subscribe. But yeah, that's it for now. I hope you guys enjoyed. Mary Part, and blessed be.